By the road from Adelaide to Melbourne near the banks on a bend in the mighty Murray River is something of an oasis. A place that seems juxtaposed to the normal pace of life here, and yet it's a world-class jewel of South Australian tourism. Words don't do it justice. They come here to go fast, to compete against others with a shared passion. Legends, newcomers, pros and amateurs, all trying to master a challenging new battlefield in cutting-edge machines. Welcome to the Bend Motorsport Park and our live coverage of Round 3 of the Shannons Nationals, headlined by the Car Sales TCR Australia Series, the global touring car formula now making its mark down under.
It's the third stop on the tour for 2019, our first visit to beautiful South Australia this season. The stage is set for a fascinating round. The Bureau says that we're headed for highs of just 13 degrees, but the wet weather that we experienced on Friday and Saturday morning here at the Bend Motorsport Park seems to be clearing, or at least we hope it will. Hi everybody, Greg Rust and Aaron Noonan with you for our live coverage. Without overselling this, it's going to be a cracker afternoon, isn't it?
It's hard to know what we're going to get here, Greg. We've had wet weather yesterday, a bit of wet, a bit of dry so far today, a jumbled grid as well. We're in for an amazing round 3 of Car Sales TCR Australia.
And in addition to that, we have some legends in the field. Russell Ingall is a part of the action, and the guys that made headlines on Friday during practice have kind of dealt with adversity in different ways, haven't they?
It's really tough to see how they're all going to deal with this afternoon's race, because they've got 30 minutes of racing. We've got drivers all different backgrounds, some who are turning up for the first time with these cars, some that have never been to this track before. And when you take someone who's a young gun like Jordan Cox, who's stepping in to a Honda this weekend, he's really a grassroots racer up against legends like Russell Ingall and Garth Tander, Bathurst winners and Supercars champions as well. That's the beauty of TCR. We've got a really jumbled lineup, and I think one of the things today to watch for is that our points leader Will Brown had a shocker in qualifying earlier today. He starts from position 16, but the great news story though was James Moffat on the pole position.
And picking up the Astron Tech $1,000 check. Well done to James Moffat. So lots to talk about as we get set to go racing. The pit lane during the course of the action will be covered by Emma Francesco and Cameron Vanderdungen. Here he is now.
Thank you very much, Rusty and Noons. I'm down on pole position at the moment with this beautiful Renault Megane RS. And Moff, congratulations, outstanding job. First pole position for the Renault Megane RS here at TCR Australia.
Yeah, look, that's a very cool thing. So not only here in Australia, but worldwide, I understand. So to get the first pole position for a Renault Megane TCR car is something I'm pretty proud of, but I couldn't have done that without the amazing team here at GRM. We had a really tough day yesterday and a lot of damage to the car to fix, and they worked miracles. So I was happy to play a very small part in that this morning and grab pole position for them.
Pole position's one thing, but this looks like strategically it could be a pretty difficult race to read. The weather has just been so unpredictable so far.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just standing at the back of the garage, looking up at the clouds, thinking what's it going to do. So no dry running this weekend, so it's the first time we've had a full set of slicks on the car. So it'll be interesting, and hopefully we can get the Renault off nice and cleanly off the line and have a good run into turn 1.
I think there's quite a few people in France watching on, so good luck for your race, Moff. I'm going to sneak over out the back at the moment as well, because Moff mentioned the team's effort. Barry Rogers, he must be so proud of the team to put a car together, and you can see here all the damage still on it, but to then put it on pole the following day.
Yeah, look, Moff executed absolutely first class, but he wouldn't have been able to do what he did without a really great effort by the crew and some local businesses around Taylor and Bend that all chipped in to get the car back together for us, and really well done. Let's see how we go from here.
All right, mate. Well, that car, as I'll show you just again, you can still see a bit of the damage down here as well. And this thing's been put back together and put on pole position. But the man that was our first ever pole sitter in the Car Sales TCR Australia Championship, Tony D'Alberto, starts alongside in a brand new car.
Yeah, very lucky boy to have a brand new Honda Civic here. So team's done a great job. The car's been going excellent all weekend. Obviously very tricky with the conditions, and I thought we had it then. I really thought we had the pole position, but Moff did a great job at the end and pipped us on that last lap.
Is it going to rain again? It looks like blue skies at the moment.
I just wish you'd do one or the other, and I think everyone down the field is probably thinking the same thing. Really tricky to get tyre temp in these things, so the first lap's going to be quite interesting.
Well, good luck. The wind feels like it's swung around as well. Does that play much of a part here? It's pretty open, this circuit.
It is very open, and you definitely feel it in these cars. So if it has swung around, our braking markers and things might have changed, but to be honest, we don't actually know because we haven't done any dry lap running yet.
Good luck with that. Let's go to Greg Rust.
Cam, some contrasting fortunes for two of the young stars of this series. We're back on row 8. Firstly, I want to talk to Andre Heimgartner. How's your weekend been so far? And admittedly, we've had tough weather conditions to deal with in the dry. Is this Subaru going to be okay?
I'm not sure. I think it's going to be just as good in the wet as it is in the dry. So we'll see what we can do here, give it a bit of pepper off the line and see if we can get some meat into turn 1.
Okay, well, you're joining us a little later this afternoon with this fellow here for a rally challenge with Molly Taylor. So you two play nice, okay. Series leader by 52 points. What I've observed here, mate, on the grid and at the pit garage before, you're pacing. You're a bit nervous. You okay?
Yeah, I'm starting next to Andre Heimgartner. That's why I'm nervous, I think, He seems to like a hit or two lately, but no, it'll be right. It's dry now. We went real fast in the wet, but we'll see what we got here. Get a good start, long run down to turn 1. It'll be good.
What happened? Why wasn't it so fast in the wet?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just couldn't seem to position my car where I wanted to and get it straight off the corner, so I was getting no power down. So, like I say, not sure. We tried working at it, but struggling pretty hard in the wet, so hopefully there's no rain.
All right, we'll have a great afternoon.
Too easy, thank you.
There he is, the series leader by just over 50 points. Cam?
Well, we've gone back to the second row of the grid in MP3 and an Alfa Romeo, another manufacturer here, Dylan O'Keefe. We've just been talking about how difficult these conditions are going to be. How's this car been handling the various conditions, wet, dry, windy, and every now and then a lull in the wind?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very tricky at the bend so far. I think our car's good in both wet and dry conditions. We've proved that at Phillip Island in the dry, and in the wet it proves to be not too bad. But unfortunately, I don't think we have the pace of Tony in the wet. But as we see, the track's dry, and I think we'll have the race pace. So really excited and see how we go.
All right, we might sneak across next to you. Dylan, good luck with that one, because we've got an Audi, which is another make. So we've got a Renault and a Honda on the front row. We've got an Alfa Romeo and also, and as I said before, an Audi down here, Garth Tander. We've just been talking about all the various conditions. Experience is going to pay dividends. Surely you get to race out here in GTs and all sorts of other things.
Yeah, it's all dry now, so it's all right. Should be fine. I mean, the qualifying session was challenging, really challenging. Obviously, everyone set their time at the beginning on wets. And then we all came in and did different stuff. I think Moff put wets on the rear, slicks on the front. I had slicks all the way around, and it was pretty hairy. I just needed one more lap, and I reckon I could have got him. But it's cool fun. So now same for everyone. No one's done a dry lap in a TCR car around Tailem Bend. So we're all, as Scafie would say, we're all pioneers, mate.
Well, good luck for that, mate. We're going to go to Rusty now.
Yeah, mate.
That wind, you can really feel it, has picked up here on the grid. A guy who was originally from South Australia, he's pretty proud of this state, and he's done some great enforcing as a driver over his time, as Russell Ingall, and we are delighted to have him as a part of the series. Bit going on here, you're on row 6.
Yeah, there is, yeah. I'm a proud South Aussie, mate. I can actually feel my mullet starting to grow as we speak. But yeah, it's not a bad start. Bit of a baptism of fire. This is the first dry laps I'm going to be doing in a TCR car is actually in the race. So I'm not sure how that's going to turn out, but yeah, I've got a few good guys around me. There's my old sparring partner, Jason Bright, over there. So he's usually good for a good start, so I think I'll latch behind him and he can get him out the way and I'll follow him through.
Beautiful. I know you've got to focus on the job at hand here. How have you found the whole experience? Something different, and it's a nice thing to add to the repertoire that you've already got.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the good things. My stage of my career, I can jump into anything I want nowadays, and it's really good. Like, the good thing about these cars is they're a driver's car. You know, you have to get up on the wheel and you have to be aggressive with them, and that's what I'm really enjoying. But there's some seriously talented drivers in here, and it's amazing. No matter what you drive in, at the end of the day, the commitment level is still so high. And you have to put in. I think this is going to test me a little bit because I think I've lifted the average age up a fair bit here. But yeah, but it's going to be fun. So far, I'm having an absolute ball.
Good on you. You've always been good at getting up on the wheel, mate. Go do it. Get those elbows out, okay?
Thanks, mate.
There he is. Let's go to Aaron Noonan to take a closer look at our field of play this afternoon.
Greg, looking forward to it. 19 TCR cars on the track. Let's have a look at the Bend Motorsport Park. It's the international circuit that we're using here this weekend. It's 18 corners. It is 4.95 kilometres, plenty of variety here. Slow corners, fast corners, big long front straight. Overtaking opportunity, turn 1's a good one, turn 6 the hairpin, which comes off a sweeper. That's going to be pretty keen to keep an eye on with these little cars that have proven to race really well in our first 2 rounds at City Motorsport Park and also at Phillip Island. So let's have a look at this track. On board the championship leading car, the Hyundai i30N, the driver, Will Brown.
G'day guys, welcome on board my Hyundai 38 TCR car. We'll take a lap around the bend circuit and it's a bit wet. Hopefully we don't have a spin, so see what we can do. So we're coming down to the hard braking zone at the end of the straight. Brake really hard, down to second gear from top gear, turn in, bit of oversteer, the fast left here. Now down to second, it's a full right-handed, we nearly lost it, full 90 degree there, up through the gears, and now we're going into a quick left, so really fast left, flat out, it's a bit, no, we're in there, down into a hard braking zone where the hairpin is. This is where we had a bit of a collision this morning, which was disappointing, but yeah, so it's a full 90 degree hairpin down to second gear. We're trying to feather the throttle to not get any wheel spin on exit and back up through the gears. Now this is the hard complex, the triple right, it really catches you out, so you've got to be a little bit careful, try not to run off. So triple right, got to really get it in there, over the curb, and we're good. Through the left. God, I can hardly speak, I'm trying to concentrate. Yes, and we're into the back section of the track now. So we're back up third, fourth gear, back up to fifth. Now we've got an uphill right here, which is a really cool corner. Catches you out a little bit in the wet, but try and keep a little bit of power down, over the hill, onto the curb. We keep going. From fourth, hard brake, down to second, through the left-hander. Now this is one of the best sections, this left-hander here. It's up the hill and tighter than you think, so you really got to get the power down well. We're down into just the final two corners, hard brake, two right-hand corners, 90 degree. Pitch it in. Up to third. Third gear coming onto the straight in the wet. That's a lap of the Ben Motorsport Park. Sorry, I wasn't real good trying to concentrate, but it's a cool circuit.
And that's a lap of the Ben Motorsport Park with Will Brown. We recorded that yesterday when the weather wasn't so nice, and of course he talked about the incident that he had. He and James Moffat came together in practice yesterday. This is the replay on board with Will in the Hyundai. That's James in front in the Renault Megane coming through the turn 5 sweeper and then into the hard stop at turn 6. Watch this. Look at the road speed as he hits the back of the Renault. Goes to the inside. There's plenty of water there. Locked up. Wham! Into the back. At about 120 kilometres per hour to the Renault Megane. They had to take some of those parts away, the exhaust, the anti-roll bar from the Renault, off-site to have them repaired in Tail and Bend. They had to get some polycarbonate for the rear hatch window. A trip to Bunnings sorted them out. Greg Rust is back with me in the commentary box. Bunnings really does seem to have everything, even for your TCR Renault, and that's got Moffat not just back on the track, but on pole, and this is what we were worried about.
Can you believe
Rain
it?
with the cars on the grid. They left the lane on slicks. Emma and Cam will keep an eye on who's got what tyre, but I'm pretty sure everyone's gone for slicks.
Everybody, whatever you do, don't leave your lounge room or wherever you're watching the action. This is going to be an action-packed race. Tony D'Alberto and James Moffat on the front row there, and as Aaron said, pretty much everyone we've observed leave the lane has done so on slick tyres. This guy, so much experience from championship wins to Bathurst victories. Garth Tander back for the second round in succession at the wheel of the Audi RS3, so he'll be one worth watching. I've got to say too, quick shout out, Aaron Cameron's been super from a consistency point of view. He's on the third row of the grid and maintaining the form that's taken him to a top 4 result currently in the point standings.
He is fourth coming into this weekend. The car's leaving the line for the warm-up lap. This is the first race in round 3 of the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. We'll be on board with Tony D'Alberto, front row of the grid in the number 50 Honda Civic Type R as he rolls away with the in-car camera. He'll follow James Moffat around, and I reckon there's some nervous engineers, some nervous drivers. This guy, Will Brown, this is mega important. 16th on the grid. He enters this race 52 points clear of Dylan O'Keefe. There is 40 on the line to win the race, and with a progressive grid format this weekend, he doesn't re-qualify for the 2 races tomorrow. Where he finishes this one is where he starts race 2 tomorrow. This is critical in the 7-round championship for this young gun from Toowoomba to get through here unscathed. I think we are in for a nuts race, and there's going to be some drivers who must pit at the end of this lap. Throw some wet tyres on, gamble. You don't win if you don't gamble, and there's some down the back who will not work their way through the field on pace. They need to do something different.
And you rightly point out that we're not even at the halfway mark of the series yet. That is in Will's home state of Queensland. In a few weeks' time, we will be at Queensland Raceway, August 2 to 4, as we jump aboard with Andre Heimgartner behind the wheel of the Subaru WRX. He has been a super exciting addition to this championship. We saw that from the very outset in the Kangan Institute entry at Sydney Motorsport Park. What can he do this time out? And as we talked about on the grid, he is well down the order. Row 8 for this one.
And if you've not watched TCR before and you see a Subaru WRX, you think, oh, this thing will smoke at 4-wheel drive. No 4-wheel drive in TCR. Everyone is in a front-wheel drive car. James Moffat trying to get temperature into the Michelin tyres. He is on pole in the Renault. So 3 rounds of this TCR Australia Series, 3 different drivers, 3 different teams and 3 different cars have taken the pole positions. 2 championship points, $1,000 from Astron Tech for the pole position. Now the question is, can James Moffat hang on? We know that the Alfa's fast, we know the Honda's fast, but can the Renault have the overall pace? Let's take a look at the way they line up. 6 different cars, Rusty, in the top 6 on the grid.
Love it.
Moffat and Delberto, Renault and Honda. Then it's Dylan O'Keefe, so fast at Phillip Island. 2 race wins there. He starts from 3rd. Garth Tander, been there, done it. Watch for the big fella. Aaron Cameron 5th. Nathan Morecambe, Best Hyundai 6th. John Martin 7th. Jordan Cox making his debut in a 3rd Honda. Jason Bright 9th in the Volkswagen Golf. And Alex Rullo in the Astra rounds out the 10.
Nice job by Alex Rullo to sneak it inside the top 10. Saw his dad a minute ago, who's been a winner in rallying in WA and proud of circuit racing as well. He said, what is going to happen here? I said, good luck trying to figure that one out. Jimmy Vernon and Russell Ingall on row 6. Chris Pither, he's another guy to keep an eye out for in the 2nd of the Renault Megans alongside Leanne Tander. Great to have Leanne back in the game with us. Andre Heimgartner, who we detailed before, alongside the series leader, row 8. Chelsea Angelo and Molly Taylor. 19 cars at this round of the championship, and if you hear the rumours in relation to more cars perhaps coming, if you look around on some of the classified sites at the moment, there is one Hyundai for sale, I'm told. We could have more than 20 before you know it. This series keeps growing. It's a great story.
Cars rolling on down the hill to get back to the starting line. Remember, this is an 18-turn circuit. It's 4.95 kilometres, so it's half a kilometre longer than Phillip Island, our last venue on the car sales TCR Australia Series calendar. Garth Tander aggressive with this car, desperately trying to get temperature in. Well, the front is easy because you're driving and steering through them. It's the rears, they're the lazy tyres in TCR cars. That was the big problem at Phillip Island, not enough temperature in the rear Michelins. They've all got it in their head that they need to do a better job of that for this race.
They're all equally matched machines. Such is the global regulations, and we'll talk about some little adjustments in that regard prior to this round as the commentary unfolds. I love Russell Ingall's mind and how it works now that he's back behind a race car. He said to me before, he goes, I reckon there's a bit in the differential in these things, you know, so he's already thinking about ways he can perhaps try and find an advantage. We've got more racing to come your way tomorrow. This is the first of 3 races for the weekend. We're at the Bend in South Australia.
And the rain stopped falling. We got some sprinkles at the start of the warm-up lap. Look where the cars had left the line. The grid boxes are dry. They're clearer where the cars had been earlier. Aaron Cameron starting further back from his grid box there. He would want to move up and take up some more room there. On board with Russell Ingall. He practiced his starts at Malala at the test day the other day. Will that hold the Enforcer in good stead? The number 100 Castrol. First time for the Enforcer in TCR, ready to go. Can Moffat, the pole man, get the jump? Tony Delberto is 3rd in the championship. Can he get it going? Away we go in race 1 at the Bend Motorsport Park. Unbelievably even between the top few. Jordan Cox makes a great jump in the Honda. We jump on board with Russell Ingall for this long run down to turn 1. This is a great chance to make up some ground. Delberto out wide, Moffat on the inside. Everyone taking it steady, trying to get some temperature, trying to find some room. Contact in the background. Pither was touched in the 2nd Renault, but it's Moffat, the pole man, to the lead. Delberto, O'Keefe and Tander, everyone treading unbelievably carefully Watch for Will Brown. Watch for Heimgartner. On board Alex Rouleau. It's on.
Tiptoes. Cold rear tyres. Who is the bravest on them as we continue to ride with him? It's a Honda out in front. Look at the sideways action going on in the background there. It catches it. Manages to catch it. Meantime, our pole sitter is under siege. The Alpha tries to, but doesn't get by. Running wide was the Honda. It's on here. Chaotic scenes on the opening lap.
Watch for car 38, Jordan Cox, debutant, grassroots racing star from improved production. He's flying through the pack on this first lap, Greg. He started further back in 8th. He's already 3rd, and we haven't even gone half a lap. He's up against drivers with bigger reputations and resumes. Leader off the road, Delberto off the road. I reckon he's the first of many. Tricky conditions. Moffat to the lead, Jordan Cox 2nd, Delberto's done.
Was there another car off track as well, or just Tony Delberto? We'll clarify that for you. Meantime, 34 machine, Jordan Cox in 2nd, doing an amazing job. If you've seen on YouTube those clips of him at Bathurst, it's sideways again. He catches it again. Look at him, keeping the pressure on. This guy was incredible at the mountain, did a super job at the Clipsal 500. He has taken to TCR racing like a duck to water. Everyone talking about his performance so far. Moffat leads the way. There's contact! There's contact. How will that be viewed in race control? The pole sitter goes off. We've got a new race leader, but it didn't look like it was far enough up.
I reckon he'll be done for that. Jordan Cox made contact, and that gives Tander the opportunity. Garth Tander to the lead. So how many cars have led this race? Have not even done a lap. Safety car called. Delberto has not been able to get going. Just as that happened, Alex Rouleau moved to 3rd. He started from 10th. John Martin is trying to make a move here down the inside. He better roll out of that. Safety car was out fair way back down the track a corner or so ago. So we've had, hang on a second, 4 leaders in a lap? This is unbelievable stuff. Car sales, TCR Australia, delivering at the bend. Safety cars on the track. Garth Tander leads the way. Delberto on the front row of the grid, stop. James Moffat, poleman, contact. He's off the road. We need to get our breath. Stay with us. A restart when we come back from the Bend Motorsport Park. So a chance to catch our breath here at the Bend Motorsport Park. Garth Tander is the leader. Jordan Cox is 2nd. Alex Rouleau is 3rd. Aaron Cameron 4th. 5th place is John Martin. Will Brown is Houdiniing his way back into the game. 16th on the grid. 6th within 1 lap.
Well, what about those stories? Rouleau to 3rd. Will Brown to 6th. That is remarkable. Yes, a bit has transpired or gone on with Tony Delberto and James Moffat, who are on the front row. This is wild. So Russell Ingall is up to 12th, or sitting in 12th at the moment.
Others have yo-yoed past him up, and others have yo-yoed past him back, and he's still in the same spot where he started. Alex Rouleau, we saw a quick shot before from the in-car of the Castrol Astra, gesticulating because he'd got the move done on Aaron Cameron before that. I think he thinks he should have that 3rd spot. So there might be a little bit to unfold there. David Wall racing, running the Hondas, and Delberto off the road. I think that was by himself. He had a margin back to the cars behind, and it doesn't look like he's been able to restart that car.
So David's been a Carrera Cup and a GT champion in this country before. That's his team, obviously. Confirmation that Tony was on his own when he exited the circuit. Not quite sure what transpired to lead to that moment. But the point I'm going to make about David is that he's on the radio, mainly working with Jordan Cox over the course of the weekend. So it'd be interesting to get everybody's take, what's going on in race control. Remember, the very experienced Alex Davison is assisting those in race control from a driving standards point of view. So, whew.
I think Jordan Cox might have a case to answer there. I mean, Moffat was coming out of the turn and Cox had juiced it up trying to get off the turn and get the run up the inside and make contact. And of course, you touch the rear of one of these cars, front-wheel drive, they're pretty easy to spit off the road. So that'll be one for race control to take a look at. But through it all, Garth Tander is the leader of the motor race. The 2nd lap of a scheduled 14 here. It is a 30-minute timed race, as they all are in Car Sales TCR Australia. And talk about the yo-yos, up and back and forward and down. James Moffat's been removed from where he had spun off into the sand. And Delberto's rolling again, Moffat's rolling again, so that's good news
Good job, Molly Taylor too. Up to position 12, nearly, at the very back of the grid when the race started. Tander, all of that experience now coming into play, trying to keep as much temp into the tyres as possible. And Audi leads the way here at the Ben Motorsport Park. Nice to have you with us wherever you're watching. This is round 3 of the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. We are behind or under safety car conditions, behind the Hyundai safety car here. Garth Tander leads the way in race 1 of the weekend in South Australia from Jordan Cox, with potentially a question mark over that position at the moment. Where is it? Is it being reviewed in race control after that incident before? Aaron Cameron to third. We'll get an update from the lane before we hopefully go racing very soon. Here's Emma.
Hey Lee Burley, plenty of carnage already. It's all happening. Not great news for Leanne, but good news for Garth.
Yeah, Garth's doing quite well up there, obviously in the lead, so he's taking advantage of some other people's downfalls. But yeah, in the group, Aaron Cameron doing all right. Leanne sort of got her tied up a bit, got caught up, and someone hit her from behind there, and she's also just got a 5-second penalty. So yeah, I've just told her to work a bit harder to get up the front and see how we go.
Best of luck. Thanks, mate.
Bye.
We'll have to get to the bottom of what that 5-second penalty was for. Maybe we can get Emma to re-ask that question offline. But Garth Tander here is the leader. Jordan Cox second. We sort of covered it off, Rusty, that Jordan Cox is a young gun from Improved Production who drove this amazing and older Honda Civic than the one he's driving today, doing some awesome stuff at Mount Panorama, firing around the outside of guys across the top of Mount Panorama, going nuts on YouTube. Everyone knows him from that. And when they stuck him in this car, because he's got front-wheel drive experience, we all thought, you know what? This kid's going to do well this weekend. He qualified position 8, and he was challenging for the lead on the end of the first lap. Contact with James Moffat that sent the Renault off the road, and Moff is running again. Delberto's rejoined at the tail of the queue. Moffat's trying to catch up to it. And this guy, Garth Tander, in his second weekend in TCR Australia, ends up with the lead. Replay here, and this was TD. Tony Delberto, race leader, all on his own, off the road.
Oh, man. What a shame. Remember, in the top 3 in the championship coming in. Now, this is the one, see, the contact happens with that left rear of James Moffat, not up by the B pillar. You would have to say that is being reviewed in race control. So, shame for the pole sitter, and at the same time, you could argue a shame for Jordan Cox, maybe just a bit too aggressive there. And this is the view from Delberto's car. You can see the wheel we used before was Pioneer. Now, I don't know if it was damp at that point. It looks like there was some dirt or something on the track. Did that contribute to it with the cold rear tyres, perhaps?
Bit of everything.
Yeah.
And here at the bend, there's big, wide open spaces of grass and bitumen, so it's a fair way off before you actually get to a wall. So that's great that he was able to get going. That is, well, there's the marks from where James Moffat's Renault ended up in the sand. So Tander is the leader. Let's just get a grip of this, from 4th on the grid. Jordan Cox is 2nd from 8th on the grid. Aaron Cameron's 3rd from 5th on the grid. John Martin is 4th. He started further back in 7th. And Will Brown in the Hyundai, through all of this, is 5th. He started 16th. The championship leader has had a dream run so far and got himself back into the game.
Great work by Will Brown. We look like we're set for a restart here. Garth Tander will control the field. Cox remains 2nd for now. Is there a question mark over that? Great work by Aaron Cameron in that VW Golf to be in 3rd position. And look at Alex Rouleau. He's got his hands full here at the moment. John Martin is harassing him. They cross that control line. Will Brown looks aggressive in the Hyundai as well.
And Brown's going to make it nearly 3 wide on the one run to turn 1. Cameron the outside on Jordan Cox. Couple of young guns, but Cameron's out 2 wide. The Volkswagen is out through the sand. This is dangerous. Brown's got 2. He got John Martin and he got Alex Rouleau. The Hyundai moves on through. Back on board. Heimgartner's not made an impact in this race. He hasn't been able to work his way up the order. He's right with Russell Ingall. They are outside the top 10 at the moment. This Subaru has shown all sorts of pace this year, hasn't been able to get to the podium. It's been the yo-yo. It's been up and down the field all year. He's going to line up a move here on Russell Ingall, down the inside, got it done. Turn 6, that's a position.
Look at the body language movement from the cars even in this early stage. Post the restart. So Heimgartner almost inside the top 10 now. He's up to P12, chasing. That's Nathan Morecambe ahead of him. Now that's a surprise because Morecambe's car was the quicker of the Hyundais in the early part of the weekend. But Brown, who we thought was a bit at 6s and 7s after that incident on Friday and trouble during qualifying, has recovered exceptionally well. Championship leader up into position 3. Critically, Noons, his main rival, Dylan O'Keefe, P7.
And that Alpha of Dylan O'Keefe is a car that we expected in the dry weather to really light up and really run at the front. Will Brown, this is the second time this year he's had a drama early in a weekend. I mean, Phillip Island, he ended up off the road on turn 2 in one of the races, and he fell to the back and managed to get his way back up to second. So you can do anything and everything in the Car Sales TCR Australia Series on board with the Hyundai with the young gun from Toowoomba, putting the pressure on Jordan Cox. Garth Tander leads the way. The blue number 4 Audi's got a margin at the moment, but what a great mix. This is what I love about TCR. An Audi in the lead, a Honda next, then a Hyundai, then a Holden Astra, then a Honda Civic, then an Alfa Romeo, then a Renault, then a Volkswagen. If my maths are right, that's all 8 brands on the grid in this weekend in the top 8 right now. That's unbelievable.
Mixture of experience, fast young guns. What's not to like, Noons? That's the key thing. Look at the bodywork from Alex Rouleau. So he's been in the thick of some action. Heimgartner has fallen back behind Ingle again.
And there's some damage too in the background. I think it was Alexandra Whitley's Volkswagen, the second Alliance Autosport car, damage to that car as well. It's shedding bodywork. Alex Rouleau definitely shedding the rear bodywork off the Castrol Astra. Back on board with Will Brown. 3 race wins for him so far this year. The only driver to finish on the podium in all 6 races so far this year. Before this race starting 16th, I would have said that streak's broken, but within 1 lap or 2 laps, he's back in the game.
Mega. Great performance. Good sector starting to pop up from Cox again in the Honda.
And it was Chelsea Angelo, in fact, with the damage in the background with that Astra. You can see there it's shed some of the parts. So both the Astras have got bodywork issues as Ingle and Heimgartner fight here on screen. Subaru and Audi. And here is the Rouleau car, and that's not looking good. That's starting to rub severely on that left rear, and at that rate, I reckon that's a black flag coming his way. Cam?
Yeah, I've got David Wall here at the moment. Now, it's going to be investigated after the race, the Jordan Cox incident with Moff. How did you see it?
Yeah, look, I've seen it. 2 race drivers fighting pretty hard there on a slick tyre on a damn track. So, look, we'll leave that to the investigators. We'll leave that to Alex Davison, and they can all go plead their case after it. But for now, concentrate on him. He's doing a good job. He's in P2, and we'll race and see where we end up.
That was a lot more diplomatic than what you said to me before the camera came. Now, I want to know exactly what you said. It was cars already on the edge, if not beyond the edge. Both cars. That was what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, you can see everyone's moving around. Like, all the cars are pretty slippery there to start anyway. So, yeah, as I said, I didn't actually see the incident. I've only seen the replay, so we'll have a look at it. Now it's eyes forward, see how we go.
There you go, Wally for Parliament in a couple of years' time.
100% vote 1 now.
Oldest one in the book, I didn't see it. I'm not buying that one at all. What I am buying is this fight at the front. John Martin's joining in the Honda Civic Type R, sits in 4th, fastest lap of the race, 2-minute even, 0.56. He's in the game right here with Tander, Cox and Brown. And that Hyundai is starting to look like it's going to put some pressure on the back of that Honda Civic Type R. That's another of the cars run by David Wall's team. Top 4, they've cleared away. Rouleau next, Dylan O'Keefe in position 6. And here was Dylan O'Keefe, we thought, big chance for him to eat back margin on Will Brown in the championship there. They're 1 and 2 coming into this race. Wrong. If they finish now, Will Brown extends his points lead, having started 16th. I can't get over how he's been able to work his way up.
But no dry or proper dry running for anyone. So maybe what was not a great car in wet conditions for Will Brown is great in the dry. Maybe it's a different story for Dylan O'Keefe. And Tander! Loses the lead.
And another one in the background as well. So just when you thought the race had settled, a mistake from the multiple Bathurst champ, the 07 Supercar champ. And that leads the way for the door to be open. Jordan Cox, debut in TCR. At a high level of motor racing here, he's up against some drivers who've won plenty of things. Will Brown's been a champ in all sorts of categories. Let's have a look. Tander's made a mistake. Got it wrong, out wide, managed to gather it up. He's still in the fight. He's not done with
It's back to fourth on board. Oh boy, snap oversteer. Ended up nearly in the weeds. Picked it all up again. 3 cars go through. And now he's trying to get back onto the tailpipe of that Civic Type R. So great fight here at the Ben Motorsport Park. Jordan Cox leads the way. Will Brown second. John Martin third. Garth Tander fourth. 6 laps in the books. It's impossible to guess what is going to go on here. We're hearing from the lane a front tyre blowout for Chelsea Angelo. That Astra is in pit lane.
And has that bodywork issue for Alex Rouleau been resolved? He's dropped down to 7th, but the smoke seems to have stopped. Meantime, up in front here, Cox has got his hands full. Here comes Will Brown. Martin is right in the thick of the game here, so the Hyundai is sandwiched between those 2 Hondas. Championship leader going through that whole mind game of preservation of the points lead, and do I want to have a crack at the race lead?
I reckon the mind game's clear. Have a crack at the lead. Go for it. You've got to play your natural game. And that's what Will Brown is trying to do, to get that move on Jordan Cox. Get the lead. Get away. Cox, points don't matter to him. He's not in the series fight. It's his first weekend in the game. Will Brown is doing the series. John Martin doing the series. But it's had a really bad start to the year.
Oh, little bit loose. Game on here. Martin looking left and right, an aggressive Garth Tander as well. Here comes John Martin, tries to sneak up the inside of Will Brown. Does he get it done? It's a Honda 1-2 at the Ben Motorsport Park.
Good move. Got it done, John Martin. Well bowled. 14th in the championship points. He's had a stinker in the first 2 rounds. Big damage to his car in the last round at Phillip Island. He's had to swap cars. He's in the Tony D'Alberto car from the first 2 rounds of the season, and he's moving forward. Now it's wall racing 1 and 2. And did you see that flash of the lights from John Martin just to get some attention of the race leader down to Emma in the lane?
Chelsea Angelo back in the garage. Is disappointing end to your day. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so coming around the triple right, we just got a pretty bad run with a fair bit of oversteer with the car because the tyres were quite cold. So we had the guys behind catching up, coming down in the second last corner past Leanne quite cleanly, I believe. We were side by side. Then the guys behind, they were coming up to try and pass me in the last corner, but I protected my line and he's just hit me from behind. But, you know, it's 14 laps. There's no need for that sort of stuff. You know, you just need to be over there and race clean. And it's obviously been out steering up, but what do you do? It's racing. So we're just going to go to tomorrow and make up the field.
Tough luck. Better luck tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been a tough start for that Astra team run by Kelly Racing. They've had some brake problems with that car this weekend so far, but they got to the bottom of them yesterday. Much luck for Chelsea. Look forward to seeing you back on the track tomorrow. Back on board, Garth Tander. He's back. He slipped back after slipping off the road from the lead. Now he's having a look at Will Brown, who is defending. Look at this. Martin for the lead. Gets it for a second. Cox back down the inside. Over and under move. Swap the lead. Backwards and forwards. Jordan Cox hangs on. John Martin's looking willing. And Tander's through to third. He's back in the game here too. I've said back in the game about 8 times today.
This is super impressive from Jordan Cox, the internet sensation. Just amazing. Yes, okay, he's had lots of front-wheel drive experience, new to this class. Big raps from David Wall leading into the weekend, but he's just taken to the step up to TCR brilliantly. Absolutely vindicated the move to get this guy on board when that brand new Honda came in for Tony D'Alberto, and to give this guy a chance in one of their other cars. Super stuff. Martin can sense a chance here with all of that experience to try and bag a victory. Aaron Cameron, meantime, stitching together some good laps. Fastest lap of the race so far is a 1 minute 59.04 for Dylan O'Keefe, who finds himself in 5th.
There's James Moffat in the Renault trying to work his way back up through the order. He and Tony D'Alberto down the tail of the field. They're on 14th and 15th at the moment. But for the other Hondas, it's good news because it's Jordan Cox out in front. We've gone past half race distance here at the Ben Motorsport Park. Back onto the front straight. Really long run. And then there's a bit of elevation. It rises up before you get to the braking zone for turn 1. Tander third. Brown next. There's Dylan O'Keefe. He's just back out of shot in the Alfa Romeo, but he's just set the fastest lap of the race, 1:58.24. So watch for that white number 9 Alfa Romeo. It is coming on strong in the second half of this race, and Aaron Cameron is coming with him to join this queue as they work their way on lap 9. This is the third round of 7, 21 races this year in the inaugural season of Car Sales TCR Australia. 40 championship points on the line. Jordan Cox, he doesn't care about the points. He just wants the trophy. Give him that P1 on debut in this series at this level. If you've never heard of Jordan Cox before today, at the end of this race, you will most certainly have heard about him. He's a guy to watch in future years to come.
Absolutely. Go Google what he did at Bathurst and have a squiz. You'll be massively impressed and then not surprised by how well he's doing here at present. Look at Garth Tander looming. He's recovered from that catch. It was a lose, but then he caught it and gassed it out. It was a really good piece of driving from Tander before. Do not write off the Bathurst winner and former Supercars champion.
I reckon he's really relishing his motorsport world this year, of course, out of a full-time supercar drive in a circumstance that no one really saw coming from Gary Rogers Motorsport. He's signed up for the Supercar Enduros with the Red Bull Holden Racing team at Champion Gisbergen. He's doing some GT racing with the Melbourne Performance Centre team that he's driving this TCR car for. He's got a television role at the moment, doing lots of things in motor racing. Proof that if you're not full-time in supercars, there's still enough to keep you really busy in Australian racing. Talking about busy, Jordan Cox is busy because John Martin is asking the question constantly. I reckon we've had an issue for Dylan O'Keefe. That Alpha's dropped back. He was in the background of shot earlier on. He's 10th on our timing screen. Oh boy, the Jinx Subaru of Andre Heimgartner has stopped again. It has been a tough year for the Kiwi in that car.
And Molly Taylor as well, back down to 17th position. Had some top speed issues with that car. I'm not sure why it appeared to be down on top speed relative to others earlier in the weekend. It looks better so far in this race, but not in results terms. Aaron Cameron, once again, is continuing to put good points in the bank. He's behind the series leader, Will Brown, in 4th place. It's Jordan Cox leading the way by 0.4 from John Martin, both in Hondas. Then Garth Tander. Less than 5 laps to go in this first race of the weekend here in South Australia.
Bit of a storyline emerging, Rusty. Dylan O'Keefe, the Alpha's in the pit lane. Big problem for one of our championship contenders. Let's have a look at the Actron Air replay. And Andre Heimgartner looking ahead, and that looks like the Astra of Alex Rouleau. Just as that was all happening, the fire went out in the Subi.
What has happened there? And that bodywork that was troubling Rouleau before has clearly gone away. It's no longer a problem. So Jordan Cox, on debut in the Car Sales TCR Australia Series, is eyeing up a race win. But as we're told, we're going to go time certain here in this race, most likely. As we look to the bottom right of your screen,
Contact
issues
there. The right front's got a few witness marks, and the man who is second in the championship is getting out. And have a look, that's fire extinguisher foam. Have they had something go on in that car? If they had a fire and let off the firebomb inside that car, we need to get an update. I'm sure Emma and Cam will be down there to chase that up. Look at the debris in the front too. The Honda Civic, the 2nd place car, John Martin, in that front grille. And look, it's flapping. You can see it underneath there as he picked up some debris around the circuit. Nevertheless, runs in 2nd. There it is. Something in there.
Yeah, hopefully doesn't cause some sort of cooling issue for John Martin, who takes the lead. He takes the lead. Tander good under brakes as well. So as we count down to the finish of this one, it's game on. Jordan Cox loses it to John Martin. The pair of them racing in Honda Civics and the Audi looming. Tander is right there.
You can never count this guy out. Garth Tander led the race, slipped off the road, back in the game, said it about 100 times, but it's been absolutely the case. He's getting closer here to 2nd spot, lines up a move on Jordan Cox. Down the inside, through he goes. The Audi splits the 2 Civics. And now he starts the chase for John Martin, the highly experienced Aussie international who's been overseas in open wheelers and GT cars. Running full-time this year in the Honda Civic with Wall Racing. And these top 3 have cleared away. Will Brown in 4th. He will retain comfortably the series lead with that position. Aaron Cameron next. Jason Bright. We haven't seen much of the Task Force VW. He sits in 6th place. There's that debris in the front of that Honda Civic. It's not slowing it down because John Martin has the lead. Morecambe 7th. Vernon 8th in the Alpha. Pither is 9th. Rouleau is 10th. Delberto's recovering to 11th. And James Moffat's 12th. Leanne Tander next. Russell Ingall in 14th. Here's his teammate in the Melbourne Performance Centre, Audi RS3. And we're hearing just coming through. Jordan Cox will get a 10-second penalty, so he's not in the fight. Tander is, though. Another change of the lead. The Audi goes by the Honda, and Will Brown now is back in the mix. Aaron Cameron's coming along as well. Closing stages of the first race in round 3 of car sales, TCR Australia. So Cox will get a 10-second penalty added to his race time. Brown to the inside. Is that Honda of John Martin starting to get hot from that debris in the front spoiler? He's slipping right back. Tander to the lead. Will Brown is third on the road. This is the last lap. We've reached the 30-minute point of racing for the time-certain nature of this race. So Cox is second on the road. He won't finish there because it'll be plus 10. Will Brown will be second. Aaron Cameron will be third. It has been an unbelievable race. In just 12 laps, we've had cars up and down the field, all sorts of stuff going on. Jason Bright has now dropped down the order too. There's storylines emerging up and down the field. So much to cover. Garth Tander was off the road earlier on. He's got himself back to the lead in the Audi. So far this year in TCR Australia, we've seen wins to a Volkswagen, 3 to Hyundais, 2 to Alfa Romeos, but no opening of the account from Melbourne Performance Centre with their Audi. Jordan Cox throwing everything at this in the final lap, but it won't matter. Even if he passes that Audi, he won't be far enough in front when that penalty is applied to keep the win. Wipers on for the Audi. It's spinning over at the other side of the circuit. They're on slick tyres, but they've got warmth in the Michelins. That should bring them home on this final lap to be able to get away before the sun showers maybe strike and cause a drama. Garth Tander, second weekend at TCR. He had it all going on at Phillip Island in the previous round. Contact with his wife Leanne and their stablemate Aaron Cameron, stepping back in this weekend. And that experience of staying out of mischief has paid off. He made a mistake and slipped off the road, but he's got his way back to the lead. And a guy with piles of supercar race wins is going to open his account in TCR Australia. And for the first time, it's an Audi with a win. Garth Tander across the line at the Men Motorsport Park. He picks up race 1 in round 3 of the series. Great fight back. Slipped back to 4th. Managed to get to the lead. Chris Pither there in the Renault, finishing position 7. But it's a win for the Audi. It's a win for Garth Tander. Here's his wife Leanne fighting with Alex Rouleau for the final spot in the top 10. And Leanne will get there, but remember, there's a 5-second post-race penalty for her number 3 Audi for a start infringement. So Rouleau and the Astra will get that spot. Plenty of damage to the back of this car too. That was another cracker. TCR Australia Series race. Really enjoyed that. What a mixture. Look at the variety up front. A win for Audi. Jordan Cox, he'll get that 10-second penalty and slip back down the order. Will Brown and Aaron Cameron will get some trophies on the podium. John Martin, he was in the game. He was up front. Nathan Morecambe, Chris Pither. Delberto worked his way back to 8th from the rear. Moffat 9th. Tander showing his 10th, but will slip back with that post-race time penalty. Alex Rouleau will move up. Russell Ingall, position 12. That's where he started from while the others were going forward and back. Jason Bright with the drama in the V-dub. He finished further back in the order. What a race. What a way to start round 3. We will review it all and get to the bottom of it all and hand out some trophies when we come back. Stay with us. More for the bend in just a moment.